1,
2,
3,
4.
Monster movie.
Fun time, go! Monster movie.
Fun time, go. Monster
Movie.
fun time.
Go!
Monster movie. Fun time, go.
With Precious D and Honeybee.
Fun time, go!
Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, friends and neighbors, welcome once again to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. I am one of your hosts, Precious D.
And I'm the other one of your hosts, Honeybee. Welcome.
Honeybee, why don't you tell the folks who we are?
We are two best friends making our way through the history of kaiju films. We started in 1933 with the original King Kong, and we have made it to 1996. Today, we are talking about one of my favorite kaijus in the whole world, which is Mothra. We're doing the Rebirth of Mothra today, you guys. And I am going to keep count. Let me get my pen. I'm going to keep count of how many times in my notes I put, I'm not crying. because I think it's so much that at the end I would like to know how many times this movie definitely did not make me cry. I don't know what it is, okay? I don't know what it is, you guys, but something about Mothra just really hits me in the feels. Like, it really just, I don't know, it smacks me in the face every time, just how it just feels so, I don't know, like spiritual or something. I don't know. It's really strange. I can't explain it, but I love it so much and it makes me cry. So buckle up, folks.
Well, before we get into all of that, we have a little bit of kaiju news. Kaiju news! First, DC Comics is going to be releasing on October 17th, issue number 1 of Justice League versus Godzilla versus Kong.
Yeah, baby. The cover art is really freaking cool, too.
So way back when Marvel had a Godzilla comic book and he fought the Avengers, and now he's going to be fighting the Justice League and Kong at the same time. I don't know. This is the legendary version of Godzilla and Kong, which I think is part of, I think IDW has the general comic book rights to Godzilla, and they might have Kong as well. But Warner Brothers, I believe, is over top of Legendary Pictures, and they're, of course, over top of DC Comics. So I think that's why this is being released by DC Comics. Sometimes with these crossovers, you do get them sort of co-released by the two companies that are crossing over. But this seems to be just coming out from DC. And I believe it's going to be a 7-issue miniseries.
Nice.
I have pre-ordered it online because my local comic shop is shutting down.
No.
So that's sad. If
That's
anybody
so
from the Hive
sad.
is listening, hello Hive.
Hello, Hive.
Yeah, it's a lot of people. I mean, I haven't hung out there as much as I used to before the pandemic started, but I still go in there and pick up my books about once a month. And, you know, there's friends that I met at the Hive, people who spent time there.
Isn't it like the only kind of thing like that in Odessa? Like, there's not even a bookstore in Odessa at this point, right?
Right. There's a Barnes & Noble in Midland, but there's no proper bookstore in Odessa.
That's crazy.
There's a guy named Kenny who runs Kenny's Comics, kind of out of his house, but it's not really a store you can just go hang out in.
Yeah.
And I know there's people who, you know, maybe they spent time at the Hive because it wasn't safe or pleasant to spend time at home. And now where are those people, or the new younger people who are in that situation now, gonna go? I don't know. Maybe they'll just hang out at Starbucks. Who knows?
Maybe so.
So that is sad. In some other kaiju news, our friend Jonathan Wright has his Kickstarter is live for his newest version of Mecha versus Kaiju.
Hell yeah. If you guys have not listened to Jonathan Wright's episode, please do. It is so good.
We'll put a link to that Kickstarter. I'm not sure how much more time it has to go, but we'll put a link to it in the show notes. I'm trying to look it up right now because he hasn't met his goal yet. So, and he just decided to upgrade one of the pledge levels. There was a pledge level that got all the PDFs of all the previous stuff for the Fate version of the game that was out, and he's now added that to all of the pledged levels from like $25 up in order to try and get some more enthusiasm going for the project. It's got 24 days to go as of right now when we're recording this, but of course this won't be coming out till next Friday. And speaking of coming out, 2 weeks after this episode is released, we will be in Fort Worth for Kaiju Go. Yeah. So if you're in the Fort Worth area, come see us there.
Yeah, come see us. Come meet us. Come take a picture with us. Come do an interview with us. Come and
you can find all the
hang out.
Yeah, they'll be showing a double feature of Godzilla versus Megalon and Mothra versus Godzilla.
Yeah, baby.
And having a toy show and art show at the theater.
Sick.
What is the name of that theater? I don't remember. But if you go to Kaiju Go, go to kaijugo.com. Damn it. Now I'm going to have to look it up. We'll pretend like I knew the name all along. ISIS.
Magic.
Downtown. It's going to be at downtown Cowtown at the ISIS in Fort Worth, Texas, which is an old historic movie theater that has recently been restored. And I hear it's beautiful.
Yeah. It's going to be amazeballs.
So come on out and see us there. I believe that is all the kaiju news we have for today. So let's go ahead and get into Rebirth of Mothra. December 14, 1996 is the release date. It is 106 minutes. The box office was 1.96 billion yen, but I don't know what the budget was.
I don't think it was 106 minutes. I think it was more like, oh, well, maybe it was 106 minutes. It just felt so much longer, but in a good way,
This was the last movie produced by, the producer, Tomoyuki Tanaka. Yeah, Tomoyuki Tanaka, who is kind of considered the creator of the Godzilla franchise. Mm-hmm. Obviously, Ishiro Honda, a big part of that, as well as the special effects guy, whose name escapes me at the moment. Shame on me. But the producer, Tsuburaya. No, Tsuburaya. I'm talking about for Godzilla, not for this one.
Okay.
The three of them together, the guys behind the Godzilla franchise. But he's last man standing, I believe, and he died of a stroke shortly after this movie came out. So this is the last one he was involved in. And it is the first of a trilogy of 90s era Mothra movies, cleverly titled Rebirth of Mothra 2 and Rebirth of Mothra 3.
Yeah, straight to the point.
Yeah, the director was Okahiro Yoneda. The music was Toshiyuki Watanabe. And I don't see who the effects were, but probably whoever you said a minute ago.
Koichi Kawakita.
Yeah, there you go. Our cast is Sayaka Yamaguchi as Laura, Megumi Kobayashi as Mol, Aki Hano as Belvera, Kazuki Futami as Taiki Goto, Maya Fujisawa as Wakaba Goto, Kenjiro Nashimoto as Yuchi Goto, Hitomi Takahashi as Makiko Goto, Mizuho Yoshida as Deskidara. Well, who the hell played Mothra? It doesn't say. It doesn't say who played Mothra. Maybe Mothra was just a puppet the whole time.
Maybe so.
No,
It
somebody
does look
somebody must have been in the larval.
in the
somewhat,
larva.
but
Yeah.
I would have thought. I don't know. I don't know. Well, there you go. Anyway, that's our cast. Uh, so in this one, we have some Shobajin, but they are not twins and not
even close.
presented. And there's other ones that weren't literally twins, but they were presented. The characters were twins. They were dressed alike, and we were meant to believe they were twins, but they were really just actresses that kind of looked a little alike. These ones, they're just sisters, and they've purposely dressed them in not matching outfits, and they have different personalities. And there's a third sister who's the bad guy.
Spoiler alert! Just kidding.
And they have
we don't
a name.
find that out until like the last few minutes.
Right. And they're not called fairies this time or the cosmos. They're called the Elias, which is their whole species that predates humans by millions of years.
I really love the two different personalities, though. Also, something that I have to say about this movie, like there was a moment, because I was so excited to watch this movie, obviously. I'm so excited to watch the other two. But there was a moment kind of, I'd say like in the first half, like in the beginning, where I was like, oh, this is kind of like a kid's movie. Like they kind of made it like a little bit kiddie this go around. But I will say as the movie goes on, and especially these two, the sisters, but also the parents, there are moments where like something is happening, you know, with the kaiju, and it's like showing just the people seeing, you know, what's happening. Like we don't see it like the people and what's happening. Like we see what's happening and then we see the people. And the two sisters play this so well. Every time they're watching something happening, they're two different personalities, and just how it's so believable. Like they really acted it so well, and I loved how their two different personalities really, like the yin and yang, you know, one is like so serious and so like stern kind of, and the other one is like emotional and like, I don't know, it was so good. I really, even though it was very
and kind of panicky.
Yeah, but it was so good, and I think that it really was. At first, I was like, "What? You know, these aren't the twins." And then, like the way they use the word fairy differently in this movie to call like the little moth, you know. And so I don't know. There were things where at the beginning I was like, is this working? But it absolutely did, and the acting was just really good. Like I said, like the sisters and the parents too. Every time they were like showing just them reacting to something, it made it feel so real, and it was so good that eventually, like I only had that feeling for a very short time of like, oh, this is kind of like more like a kid's movie, like kind of more like the early Gamras, you know what I mean? How they were kind of goofy, and at some point, like the music is like kind of quirky in the background, like bam bam bam, you know, like kind of stuff like that. But I think it really just kind of elevated it. The acting of, you know, the sisters, the two sisters, and then also like the parents in those scenes. So it was just, I think they killed it. They killed it.
I think this is the first time I've actually seen this movie all the way through, and it took me several
Really?
goes. Yeah, because I kept trying to watch it at lunch and then falling asleep. So that's maybe not the best way to watch it. But then I tried watching it at home and fell asleep too.
Damn it. Yeah, I started squealing in the first 60 seconds of this movie. I was like way too excited. I couldn't sleep if I wanted to. Like I was way too excited that we were getting a Mothra movie.
Years ago, like 10 or more years ago, I bought a Blu-ray that had all three of these movies in it. Blu-ray set. And I started watching the first one, and I was just like, what is this nonsense? They're, you know, because in the beginning, near the beginning, they're running around the living room tearing shit up. And I was just like, what? And I turned it off, and I never finished it.
No.
So,
oh my gosh. Like that's the part that I'm talking about where I was kind of like, oh,
right.
This is kind of a kid's movie.
Yeah.
And even the Belvera, she kind of reminded me of the villain in Power Rangers because she's so
exactly. Rita Repulsa.
like giving it her all, but she's also just like kind of goofy, and it's like, but yeah, but that after that part, like getting past that part, it gets so much better.
Yeah, see, I didn't get past that part.
is
I think I
good
meant
too.
to. I think I meant to. But yeah, at the time, and again, this was, I don't know, 10, 15 years ago, possibly 20 years ago. I was just like, what is it? This is a kid's movie. What is this nonsense? And it was just too goofy for me at the time. I'm not saying it's actually bad. It was just, I just wasn't in the mood that day. And then I never picked it back up. So I'm glad to have finally watched it in 3 or 4 goes, half of it subtitled and half of it dubbed.
Oh my gosh.
Because on the
I'm so
Blu-ray
glad
you have,
finished it also.
on the Blu-ray you have both options. Online, I don't think you do. It's
Yeah,
on.
I watched it on. Did I watch it on Prime? No, I think it was. Dang, maybe Pluto or Freevee. Freevee, is that what it's called?
Yeah, it's on one of those or multiple ones. It's on Pluto with their Godzilla channel. It's included. Although I couldn't find it at first. I was finding number 2 and 3, but I couldn't find number 1, and I was like, this doesn't make sense. But I watched it on my Vudu. I have a digital copy as well as a physical copy.
Nice.
Yeah, I'm not sure why when I'd never finished watching it that I bought a digital copy in addition to the physical one I already had. But I didn't. Because I knew that years from then I would have a podcast and might need to try to watch it at work. On my lunch hour at work, not while I was working. Let's get into the plot here. I'm looking at the Wikipedia because I didn't make any notes. Thank you, Wikipedia.
Thanks, Wikipedia. I made like 9 pages of notes, but
well, you can start us off if you want.
well, I mean, we start at the very beginning, just seeing our big, beautiful old lady Mothra, just sparkling it up, glittering, giving us some roars. She is serving, she is eating, as the kids say these days. I was already screaming.
What?
But then, yeah, we...
Wait. What? What do the kids say? She's eating?
Like, I think they say, like, eating. Like, she ate that. Like, oh, she ate it. She left no crumbs.
Okay. I'm not hip to the lingo, I guess. I haven't... I've heard slay.
But yeah, so we...
Haven't...
Yeah, I guess that's, like, the next thing, Or maybe it's not. I don't know. I've just heard it a few times on the internet. So yeah, we start with this like logging company where we meet Mr. Gato.
Well, hold on. Wait. But first, it says here that Mothra lays an egg, but she does not lay an egg.
Yeah, we don't see her lay the egg.
She glitters an egg. She assembles an egg. She summons an egg. It's just weird. She's laying there on her
weird. It's
whatever.
Beautiful.
What I'm saying is that it's not your normal biological process of laying an egg, partly because the egg is about as big as she is. She just sort of spews a bunch of glitter in the air that then coalesces into an egg.
Yeah, because she's a goddess.
So
she was like, let there be egg. And there was egg.
Yes. But then go on. We cut to a logging company.
Yeah, so we go to this logging company. There's some dudes, doing logging company shit. They get like a word that Malaysia has stopped logging. And then this guy kind of like hits something hard in the ground. Like he's in this big tractor type thing.
Which reminded me of Power Rangers.
Yeah, this movie several times kind of reminded me of Power Rangers. It's so funny. Especially the bad guy was Belvera. She was just like so Power Rangers-y to me. Especially her laugh. She's like, ha 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 ha. Like the whole movie. Oh man, I love it so much. Yeah, and then we meet Mr. Gato, who is, we don't realize it at the time, but he's like the dad of the movie. Like he's like, the father figure The music is so good. My next note is literally like the music. Oh my gosh, so good. The whole movie, in every like section, if there's something like intense happening, the music's telling you. You know, if there's something you can kind of already. That was another thing that kind of made it a kids movie for me in the beginning. Was that like you are being told how to feel by the music before it's happening. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
It's so good. So yeah. Okay. So the little what are they? The Elias? The Elias?
Yeah.
Yeah. You know, they go to Mothra and they shout out fairy, and she just shits out a baby moth for adventures for them to like ride on. It is so like
breaks
it just
off
comes
a
out of
piece
nowhere.
of herself or right.
Yeah. We have a very like Father, Son, and the Holy Spirit thing going on in this movie where we have like Mothra, the baby Mothra, and then this little tiny like fairy Mothra, which I just love so much. And I love their differences too. Like the fairy Mothra is kind of like a pink hue, and obviously she's very small, like the Elias like ride on
compared
her.
Compared to Mothra, she's small, but compared to a normal moth, she's still huge.
Yeah. Yeah, she's probably like the size of like, I don't know, a duck or something.
Yeah.
But yeah, I like really loved that they were just like fairy, and she was just like and this like moth just like flies up to them and is like ee, like just like making little baby noises. I'm like, holy shit, I don't know if my heart can handle this movie. It's just so cute.
The thing that they dug up though, they hit a little seal in the ground.
Yeah.
And Mr. Gata, but it's only like the size of a silver dollar or so. Mm-hmm. And but it serves the same function as a great bigger than a manhole seal in the Power Rangers movie. Yeah. But Gato just leans down and picks it out with his fingers and dusts it off and then decides to take it home to give to one of his kids. Has he already had a little thing with his wife on the phone?
No, well, like they don't like show the seal at first. Like they just show like the fossil thing, and then they like do a few other scenes, and then like come back to this like seal thing, and then he calls his wife, and he's like, "Hey, like I got problems here," and she's like, "Of course you do. You never fucking come home. You're just like your father." Right. They have like the whole, but you know it's so funny because it's such a relatable situation. Not like. It's just something that, you know, and like the siblings are the same way, where they're so relatable, where they're just like always fighting. They're like, I hate you, but then they really genuinely love each other. It's just like them having the fight, you know, the husband and wife over the phone, but then him coming home and them just being kind of like, okay, you know, it was just so relatable in that way, and just so realistic kind of in that way, which I felt like made this movie less like kid. I don't know. It goes back and forth, I guess, or maybe I just go back and forth. I'm not sure. But it's so good. Yeah, so he brings the little, you know, silver dollar size seal to his kid. He puts it around his daughter, like while she's asleep, and then, you know, gets the call from his boss, like, "Hey, shit is happening up here."
He asked the wife if she's got a chain. He asked her if she's got a chain laying around that he can put it on to give her, put it around her neck.
Yeah, so then he bounces, leaves, because he has to go deal with the
it's like, shit, I just got home.
Shit. Yeah. So Akaba wakes up, and she's got the power. She's, like, throwing her brother around like a rag doll in the air. Yeah.
Well, somehow her wearing this... well, it's an amulet now. It was a seal, and they've turned it into an amulet. Somehow wearing that gives Belvira the power to take control of her, at least temporarily. Oh, Belvira, by the way, she's the bad sister. She's all dressed in black, and she has this, instead of a moth, a little dragon that she rides around on.
He's so cute. Gaguru.
Who turns out in the end to be a robot?
Mm-hmm.
There's nothing to indicate that he's a robot. Yeah.
About the way
because she just she smacks him on the head and stuff. At the very end she kind of crashes it, and it tears open a little and we see some wires and some sparks and shit. And you're like, wait, it was a robot all along? What the fuck?
It's still super cute, though.
Yeah. So, she takes control of the sister, and the sister sort of like telepathically throws the brother around.
Yeah, because in the scene before this, he's kind of like picking on her, where he's like pinching her cheeks and like trying to take something away from her it's very like sibling fight. Like he had something she wanted, or she had something he wanted, and they're
fighting
like
over a
fighting
toy.
over it. Yeah. And so he's like, pinching her, and she's like crying, and the mom's like, leave your sister alone. She's younger. Just give it to her. And then, the camera goes to another angle, and she's like, like not really crying, because, that's what happens when you're the baby.
Yeah.
It's funny because I'm the baby of my siblings, and you're the oldest sibling.
Yes.
So I feel like we can both kind of see this dynamic in like different aspects and be like, yeah, that's accurate.
Yeah. Just because they're the youngest doesn't mean they should be able to get away with shit.
Yeah.
It's not fair. It's my thing.
Yeah.
You can't just come up and take my thing just because you're the youngest. Yeah, I guess Belvira just shows up because she knows that's where the seal is, and she needs it.
I think she's like attracted to the seal because later on she's like in the living room and she sees on the TV where the actual thing is, like where the seal came from, and then she's like, got it. So I think she's like, once the seal was, I guess, activated in some way, then she's like, ooh, okay, this is where I need to be. But then finds out from the TV, from the news station, where the actual, like where actual Descadir is.
Yeah. So, but yeah, they have a big fight her and the other two, Maul and Laura, have a big fight in the living room.
Is it
all of them
Maul?
trying to get their hands.
I have, in my, I watched the dub version.
In the English,
Mona.
Yeah, in the, in the dubbed, I think it's Maul, but let me just check. It's Moru. According to this, the Japanese name is Moru.
Yeah, and mine, like the subtitle version, it was Mona and Laura.
Mona and Laura?
Mona.
And then their sister's name is Belvira.
Belvira.
It's just, I want you to grow up to be a villain, so I'm going to name you Belvira. So clearly just a bad guy name. Or Berubara in Japanese, apparently. But they have a big fight and tear up the whole house, or at least the living room, trying to get this thing. And she ties up the mother at one point.
Yes, scary.
The brother runs outside and is trying to help from outside, sneak in and untie his mom. But in the end, does Belvira get the thing?
Yeah.
It says here, Belvira prevails and releases Desghidra to help her destroy humanity before they can destroy her race. There only seems to be 3 of them left that we can see.
Yeah.
I don't know why she thinks humanity's going to destroy them. And they don't even know they're there.
The sisters, it's not destroy them. Well, it's destroy humanity, because the sisters, the two, Moru and Laura, they kind of tell, they kind of give you some like backstory when they're telling the kids or whatever. They're like, this Discadora, he came before man, and he was, here thousands or millions of years ago, and first he went to Mars, and now Mars is a barren wasteland because he like sucks energy from planets, and now he's on Earth. So if we don't like get there before Belvira before she releases him, then he's gonna suck all the energy from this planet, and we're all fucked. Like everybody, humans, us, everybody is like, it's gonna be over. It's just gonna be a barren wasteland. But they unfortunately do not make it.
Yeah.
Because if they did, there would be no movie.
Chegou a melhor parte do podcast. É hora de provar a melhor Coca-Cola. A Coca-Cola sem açúcar. O sabor irresistível da Coca-Cola, sem açúcar e igualmente refrescante. Coca-Cola sem açúcar. A melhor escolha.
Hi, this is Linda Miller, and you are listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
So they had their people and Mothra, or a version of Mothra, had sealed up Descadora millions of years ago. And now, of course, these loggers who are destroying the environment have broken the seal and let him out. Let's talk about Descadora for a minute there.
Yeah, sure.
So apparently that means Death Ghidorah. So he's related to Ghidorah. He looks kind of like Ghidorah, but he has some design elements that are different. He's got 3 heads, but he's not golden or yellow colored. He's sort of black with a little bit of a green tint and some white highlights. He's kind of a blackish gray, but he also has
scary.
4 legs. Yeah. He's more of a dragon in a way than Ghidorah is, in that he's got 4 legs. Ghidorah usually just has 2 back legs and is more like a bird. I mean, he looks reptilian, but in the way that the bird's 4 legs have turned into their wings. Ghidorah's like that, so he's just got back legs and wings. But this thing has 4 legs and wings, but still has 3 heads that have some kind of breath weapon. Did they describe it as being lava-like at one point? So it's not lightning like regular Ghidorah. It's molten rock. If it's really lava-like, he's spewing molten rock at them. Oh man. So then they decide that they need to summon Mothra, even though they know she's getting old and tired, and that's why she just laid an egg. It's time for
we also at some
karaoke
point, like,
music video.
After the fight, the fairy, the like little tiny piece of Mothra who is for adventures, gets like zapped by Gagura, the little dragon, and we get to see them kind of heal the little fairy with the amulet, and that like becomes important later. And so then we get like to them, you know, calling, which I thought this was weird too, when the sisters are like, okay, it's too late to stop. Like, she's already let him out. It's too late. We can't stop it now. And then they give the little amulet to Akaba, our little Panchita. And they're like, here, guard this with your life. And I'm like, why are they giving it to the younger sibling? And to whenever the, like, little boy is, like, already proving to be such a badass. He's so brave. He's, like, already, like, saved, like, his mom and the fairies. Or, they're not the fairies, but, you know, the Elias or whatever they are. And so I thought, I was like, why are they giving it to the little sister? Is it like a girl thing or something? I don't know.
Well, I wanted to say, when Belvira has it, she holds it. When Belvira has it, she holds it like a shield, which I thought was kind of cool. But yeah, they get it from her. And then twice in the movie, the little girl says, well, you want your thingy back? And they're like, why don't you hold on to it? Like, why are you putting... I wasn't thinking they should give it to the brother. I was thinking, why are you putting this responsibility on a child? This is your thing.
Give it to the brother.
This kid just got wrapped.
Give it to the brother.
No, neither of them should have to deal with it. They need to take it and deal with their shit instead of expecting these fucking children to be responsible.
The thing is that they're going to like fight and they're going to do all this stuff. So they're like, here, hide this, like keep it with you, keep it safe. Like don't, because we're gonna need
kids
it
keep
later
losing
or some
it.
shit. Yeah, I know,
But
because
the kids keep losing it, so they're right. They shouldn't be given that responsibility.
So funny.
But it's
I
really
think
like
this is
the
kind
whole
of like what is what is this movie really about? And it's like one of those things where like, yeah, it's about like us destroying the forests and all these things, but several times over in this movie there's like this reoccurring theme of like teamwork and family, and if we just do it together.
Yes.
And so I think that's part of like kind of what makes it a kids movie too, is like we're trying to make these kids like the heroes, and like trying to like teach some weird like underlying message of like, listen to your parents.
Yeah, the
and do
movie
your
is
thing.
Well, I don't know if that's the lesson, because they just run off and leave their parents behind. But the movie is very much about healing this family who's not that dysfunctional. It's just the father has to work a little more than he might like to, isn't around quite as much as is ideal, but he's not, he's not cheating on the wife. He's not an abusive drunk. He's just busy. And the brother and sister bicker a little bit, but it's nothing unusual. But apparently they need to be healed as a family.
I don't think it's that they need to be healed. I didn't get that. I just felt like it was like super relatable. Like it was just realistic. Like this is a real thing.
Yeah.
This is how it really like goes. So, but if we're all,
It just
if we
seemed
all
to
work
me that-
together and we love each other anyway
Yeah.
through our differences and our bullshit, then we'll come out on top.
It just seemed like the real reason they're giving the girl the medallion is to keep the family involved in all this shit, so that they can grow closer together. So that they can't just go home and go, well, that was weird, and then watch from a distance. They still have to be an active part of it.
Yeah.
But anyway, around this time, we get a sort of a karaoke music video of the Summoning Mothra song.
It's so good with like the fire in the background.
Yeah.
This is
Because
very
they're totally
90s.
posing in front of a they're very posing in front of a blue screen while they sing, which is it's very much a anime and sort of Power Rangers-y tokusatsu thing where you're kind of cutting, rather than showing what's actually in the environment behind the person as they do the thing that they do. If they transform or summon a Zord or whatever the fuck it is they do, we kind of go to a neutral background that's not reflecting the environment they're really in. And that's what happens here. They start singing this song and suddenly they're on a stage in front of a blue screen that shows different images behind them while they sing the song.
And it's like the song that we know, but they also make it a little funky.
Yeah.
Which
Yeah,
I
it's got a new arrangement.
Mm-hmm. Oh, here is my first I'm not crying note, because we get to see Mothra's little chicken feet.
Yeah.
When she lifts up, and I'm like, oh my god, I love her feet. I love them then, and I love them now.
So Mothra comes to fight, and
Zip,
it doesn't
zap,
go
zip,
well.
Zap, zap, zip. Yeah, because she's old. And the
Yes,
argument
and
between
during-
the sisters when they're like, we're gonna summon Mothra, and she's like, you can't, she'll die, she's too old. And then she's like, what else are we gonna do? What do you think Mothra would do? And then she's like, you're right.
That's right.
Okay.
That's right. And yeah, at that time I thought, oh, do I need to make Honeybee a bracelet or a t-shirt or something, a button that says, what would Mothra do?
Oh my gosh. Yes.
There you go. I have a button maker. I'll make you a button that says, what would Mothra do?
Yes. When I was like 16 or 17, Precious made me a bracelet that was like WWDD, like what would Dominic do, so that I could make good decisions. So it really it's great. It's like so great. I would love
how did that work
what would
out?
Mothra do button. I mean, I wore it for like a really long time. I loved it. It was like one of those like beaded friendship bracelets.
Yeah.
It was really great.
Yeah, I think I still have some of those beads around. Anyway, they decide to summon Mothra, and she has a fight and does not win. But during the fight, Wikipedia here is referring to it as Mothra Leo, but I don't think anybody calls it that in the movie. But it's the baby, the larval. It hatches. It senses what's going on and hatches out of its egg. And
by sheer willpower alone. And we get another song.
Yes. And it comes out to help in the battle. And shoots kind of rainbow silk.
Yeah.
At Desghidorah.
Like silly strings. Mm-hmm. And she's like, her movement is so great when she like worms around. I'm like, yes! Go, baby Mothra.
But
go!
I mean, it's the silk that we see Mothra frequently spit at things and people, but it had a rainbow tint to it, which you could see when it hit Desghidorah, but also sometimes just depending on the camera angle, you could see it when the light caught it. I don't know if that was an effect they added later or if it was just something they put in the.
I think it was an effect they added later. It kind of looked like a layered. Yeah. Also, this is the second time I have the note, I am not crying. Was when baby Mothra is like, they're like, no, she's too little, she's too young. And then the other one, the Laura, is like, but look how courageous she is. And she just like worms up to this huge fucking monster with 3 heads and just like silly strings him. And I was like, oh my God, little baby Mothra, you're so courageous. So beautiful.
But Desghidorah takes a bite out of Mothra.
Yeah.
Well, not out of her, but so bites the larva. Yeah. And drains some of his energy. And adult Mothra, it says here, airlifts her son to safety.
Oh my God.
And lures her ancient adversary to a dam to keep it at bay. She picks up the baby and takes it away. And then lowers her son into the sea, collapses from her age, wounds, and weariness, and sinks to her death.
No, but first, before that happens, she like gives the she like goes to the kids, and she like is like sitting there, and she's kind of like and the little boy is like, oh, we could heal her with the amulet, and he like tries to, but like doesn't know how. And so then the sister like grabs his hand and holds his hand, and they kind of like do it together, and it's this really cute like unifying moment of them like
it's like, you have to do it like this.
Yeah, it's so
you have to bow your head and pray.
Yes. That's the third time that I wrote, I am definitely not crying. It's so good. And baby Mothra looks really juicy in this movie. Like, she always kind of looks like before, before it was like a different color, like the larvas. And that might just be because like they were older and some of them black and white or whatever. But like she looks wet. Like all the time, like every time the camera's on her, like she looks really juicy, and I was like, okay. But whenever the old lady Mothra is like looking at the kids, I know it's a puppet. Okay, it's obviously a puppet face, like it doesn't have expression and stuff. But I feel like you just get it. Like, you can just feel the emotion. Like, she's such a mom, and she's so sweet, and she's, like, communicates through this big puppet head and her, like, puppet eyes, and it just kills me. It just does something to, like, little baby me. For whatever reason, I can't help it.
Well, I like that she's just so fluffy, and I'm wondering, is there a plush...
Furry.
Is there a plush Mothra that one can acquire?
Seems like there must be. Can it be huge? Like a really, really big one.
Like just would cover your whole bed?
Yes, like not fairy Mothra, and then you could get a larva Mothra that's like the size of like a body pillow.
Right. So basically, baby Mothra after this runs away, but to go metamorphosize, to go to a secret place to metamorphosize into a moth, to build its cocoon. And
oh wait, I also have to say that I have a note that Belvera's a little bitch because she tells when she's like controlling Desghidorah that she's like, focus on the little one, the big one doesn't matter, focus, like kill the baby basically. And I'm like, damn, you's a bitch. Haven't you ever heard of pick on someone your own size, you fucking asshole? Jeez Louise. Sorry, that was my next note.
So the
I also have I'm Not Crying Again with Mothra and baby Mothra in the ocean when she dies and she sinks down.
Yeah, she just sinks.
Oh God.
Well, you can't get a plush like that. You can't get a plush like that wet, or it's gonna sink.
But the bubbles and the like blue lighting, it's just, and the music, and then the baby Mothra like dipping her head into like. No, it's so sad, dude. It's so freaking sad. But then whenever the like sisters are like, when the little boy's like, where's the baby going? Like, where's the larva going? They're like, she's going to transform. I was like, oh shit. We got to see old lady Mothra. We got the little fairy Mothra. We got to see larva Mothra, and we get to see the transformation in one freaking movie. Okay, like we are winning here, people. We are winning.
Right.
So good, so much happening in one movie.
So they say that, oh, she's going someplace secret, but then they acting like they don't even know, but then they follow her to find out where the secret place is, which I thought was inappropriate. But I think this is the second time when Wakaba, which, I've been studying Japanese a little bit, but I'm no expert, but it just struck me as kind of an odd name.
Why?
And I don't know. It just didn't, we hear a lot of the same names that are common, or they sound very similar, like Miki and Ichi and Ichiro and names like that. And to me, Wakaba just didn't sound like a regular Japanese name. And I have no idea if it is at all common or if it is just a weird name.
Her brother's name is just like
Taiki. Yeah, which also was a little not.
I liked
we
it.
haven't
I
had a
thought
Taiki.
Wakaba was
We haven't had a
cool. I was
Taiki.
like, ooh,
I'm not complaining. It just struck me as, well, that's a name we haven't heard before.
Mm-hmm.
Anyway, Wakaba's, I think this is the second time where she's like, well, you want your thing back? And they're like, why don't you hold on to it? I'm sure we're going to need your help again. Like, don't put all that on her. She's just a little kid. So while Desghidorah tears shit up, they follow Mothra Leo to this secret island, and a 10,000-year-old tree, 100,000-year-old tree that seems to be magic, where
it's not that it's magic. It's just the energy.
Well, it was kind of glowing.
Oh yeah, okay. Also, at this point, Desghidorah just kerploofs wings out of his back and starts flying around.
Yeah. Had we not seen his wings before that?
No, he didn't.
Maybe they were just laying.
He had to like suck up enough energy at the beginning. The sisters are like, we've got to hurry because once he gets enough energy, he'll be able to fly. And Taiki's like, he'll be able to fly. Like, yeah, he's got to suck up enough energy. And then like he's sitting there and he just like, kerploof, and just like whoosh, has wings all of a sudden and starts flying around. So
Mothra Leo goes and makes his cocoon. I don't remember them saying at any point whether the baby was male or female, but
I don't think
Wikipedia seems to think it's her son. Did somebody say her son at one point? Did
I don't know.
Shobijin say her son? I don't know. The internet seems to think.
They often say like, "Oh, her baby" or "her child," but never son.
So I don't.
I think even
I
at
don't
one
know
point
why, but
they say she whenever the or maybe they don't, maybe they say it, but whenever the baby is like cracking out of the egg, they're like, maybe they say it. It's too young, it's not developed yet, but I swear it was
right.
In my brain it was she, but that's just because I
Right.
think like Mothra in my brain is she.
Well, she lays
It's not
eggs.
Mothra
So,
Row. Nah, just kidding.
yeah. Mothra lays eggs, so that's not an unreasonable assumption. But anyway, it makes a cocoon. But when it comes out of its cocoon, just like Mothra didn't really lay an egg, but just sort of assembled an egg, the coming out of the cocoon process is not your standard just moth tearing its way out. A hole opens and hundreds of small moths come spewing out of the cocoon and then sort of assemble themselves into the shape of a Mothra that then goes bling and turns into a full-grown moth version, which, I mean, all of this is just an example of the Japanese principle of not caring if it makes sense as long as it looks cool. So somebody just thought it would look cool to do it that way.
It was incredible. It was so incredible. And also, since we got the fairy out of, Godmother Mothra in the beginning, it was kind of like, oh, okay, yeah, sure, it totally makes sense, because you can just kerploof one of your selves out into the world
so
and
Mothra's
send it
not
on adventures.
Mothra's not made out of cells like a normal biological entity, but is made up of tinier versions of itself that you could break one off and send it out as an avatar if you need to.
Also, while all of this is happening, the parents and the kids have been like taken to a hospital, and we kind of get like this, the oxygen in the air is changing, but this guy who's like talking on a cell phone recognizes Mr. Goto and is like, "This is all your fault. You did this to us." First,
he gets in trouble for using a cell phone in the hospital, which you had mentioned last week that you're not supposed to do, depending on where you are in the hospital. And apparently, back in the 90s, that was a big no-no.
Yeah,
so
like
first he gets in a fight. He gets in a fight with the nurses and the doctors over his cell phone.
With a tiny little lady nurse for a second. Like, come on, dude, chill out.
But before that, though, there's this weird moment. I don't know if this was because of the air. The kids are watering a plant, but with water they're taking out of a fish tank. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, what? Why do the kids think they need to water the plant that's in the hospital? And why is there no other source of water than this fish tank? I just didn't understand what was going on there. And there's no explanation given. It's just a thing that happens. Mm-hmm. Did you notice this?
Yeah, totally. I mean, I was just thinking, because the plant is obviously dying, and all of the people in the hospital are like kind of dying, and they even, like, a guy calls in and he's like, the guy on the cell phone, he's like, the old people aren't doing well, like, I can barely breathe now with the oxygen. And so in my brain, it's like the kids were just like, oh, like, there's like oxygen and water, like, we're just gonna, and the parents are like looking on, like, it's just like one of those things where you have two kids in a situation that sucks, where you shouldn't be, and it sucks, so they're like just trying to find the shimmer of light or the thing to do, like the next best thing, and the parents just look at them lovingly like, "Aw, our kids are so thoughtful and so sweet." And it's just like, this another little family moment that we have of them like just being like, we love each other,
Right. But then, as you were saying, this guy recognizes the father and knows that it's his fault. I'm not sure how he knew It does. I don't think it's common
Because-
knowledge that he broke the
Yeah.
seal and that's what
Well,
is responsible.
But it is common knowledge that he is the boss of this like logging company, and there was a lot of press and stuff interviewing them at the very beginning of the movie, and he was the one, like, he was on the news, and they were saying like we're gonna make a decision whether to like explode this mountain and see what like this thing is that we hit or not and save the trees. And he, being like the head of this company, was, you know, like, we're gonna do the, he never got the chance to make the decision, but there are so many people recording on the ground, and whenever Descadora kind of breaks out and like does this explosion, they assume that he went ahead and did what originally was they were protesting and fighting, which was
so he doesn't
to go ahead and
necessarily
blow the mountain.
He doesn't necessarily know about the seal and all of that. He just thinks the logging activity in general caused it to get out. Okay. Because I just thought it was a little weird that he knew that. But okay, that makes sense.
Yeah.
But yeah, this guy is, the wife is just kind of admits that it's his fault in her defense of him. In her defense of him, she says he didn't know. There was no way he could have known, which is admitting that, well, yes, it is his fault, but he didn't know that's what was going to happen. So
That's funny.
But they eventually pull that guy off, and he's all like, "We're all going to die. We're all going to die." And Taiki says, "We're not all going to die, mister. Mothra will save us."
Yeah, so sit the fuck down and turn your cell phone off, you douche canoe.
So the new Mothra shows up, and there's a big fight.
I didn't cry.
Let's see. Oh, and displays a bunch of powers that we had not previously seen.
Yeah, she has these like 3 like bling bling blings in her head, and even when she's not like shooting like zapping out of them, they're still like there.
Yeah,
which I thought was a really cool costume design.
Let me
see. She has green
this,
eyes.
This is how Wikipedia describes it: arriving in a hail of energy beams and fueled by righteous fury. Leo relentlessly blasts the 3-headed monster who is unable to defend itself.
He said, "Fuck you, you don't blast my mama."
Drawing upon an ancient legacy, Leo eventually renews the seal that originally bound Descadora, defeating him. Well, there's a point when he's got him basically beaten, and then the Elias, they're riding around on ferry, and they yell down at the kids. Because, the kids just get up and leave the hospital.
Oh, but first, before they get up and leave the hospital, there's this really cool, like, Panchito moment where the boy's like, Mothra's gonna come and save us. And then I think the mom is like, someone says, like, even if Mothra does come back, like, it's still just a moth. And, Taiki says, more people die from bee stings every year than snakes. Don't write it off just because it's an insect. And I was like,
Right.
He told you.
I mean,
and then he just bounces.
Yes. And then the sister, he's like, go, what's her name? Wakava, go stop him. She's like, no, I'm going with him. She's like, God, shit. But I'm like, yeah, so we have to just count on Descadora being allergic to bee stings? Is that what you're...
No, what?
Is that your plan?
That what you...
No, I'm saying... I'm just saying people die from bee stings because they're allergic to the bees, not because the bee overpowers the human and takes it down to the ground and and beats it up, God. But yeah, they run off.
You're thinking way too hard about it.
I know. They run off to help, and then they do need their help because the Elias from way up like 20, 30 feet above them are like, hey, throw us up the seal.
Throw the amulet. Yeah.
And Taiki takes it and has quite an arm on him because he flings this thing I mean, maybe they sort of once he's thrown it, they magically draw it to them. I don't know. He throws it pretty far.
Yeah, maybe so.
And they use it to activate, reinstate a seal. A big glowing magical seal appears in the air and kind of slams down on top of Descadora, sealing him away.
And Gagara dies at this point.
Well, malfunctions.
Dragon.
We find out that he shorts out. He wasn't really alive. This is when we see his circuits and his sparks and stuff, and we find out that he was just a robot all along.
And then we see the sisters save Belvira, and we're like, ooh, what the fuck? We don't think it's because they're sisters yet. We're just like, wow, they are so incredibly graceful and nice, and they are going to save this tiny little person because she is one of them. And then we find out that they're sisters, and it's like, gasp!
Did we not already know they were sisters?
No, we don't know until the very last few minutes of the movie. They explain, don't you really love your brother? The reason why we're gonna let her go, because she runs away, and then you know, Panchito's running after her, trying to catch her, and then the other sisters are like, no, leave her, let her go, she's our sister, we still love her, even though you and your siblings fight, don't you still deep down love each other? Well, we feel the same way. And that's the first point that we know that they're all related, and until that point we just think she's the bad guy, they're the good guys.
Oh, I thought they had mentioned it earlier, but it could just be that I went into the movie already knowing this.
Yeah, I didn't know until the last few minutes,
Okay.
and I was like, what the?
Right.
And she even says sorry, she apologizes. She's like, we should have said this sooner, we didn't tell you the whole story. But this is what's really happening.
Right. But I did not approve of that decision. Sometimes when your brother is the Unabomber, you have to call the authorities. You don't just say, well, he's my brother. Sometimes for the greater good, you got to lock up Belvira. You don't just let her run off to cause shit in the next movie, which I believe she is going to do.
Of course she is.
Because I believe all three of them.
It's a real Thor Loki situation,
Yeah. I believe all three of them are in all three of the movies, although we change actresses for one of the sisters at some point.
Oh.
So yeah,
and then they're like,
end.
Belvira is our sister. Would you like to ride Mothra? And they're like, yeah,
right.
And then Mothra
Yes.
comes down, and they jump on her or on his head, and they go for a ride. And then the mom and dad play a little what is this movie really about?
Right.
And talk about the environment and how we need to save it.
Before that though, so they run out to go help, and then shortly after, mom and dad follow, but dad's in a wheelchair. Mm-hmm. And somehow in just a few minutes, mom got dad's wheelchair up the side of a fucking mountain.
The best part, I think this is
so
how,
they could be there,
is because I think I had this exact same thought, and it's so funny because, when the ground and all the trees and stuff are barren and burned, it would be way easier to push a wheelchair out there. But then Mothra glitters everything and makes everything start from growing again and blooming, and I was like, man, they're never gonna get that fucking wheelchair out of there.
Yeah, and it wasn't clear how much he actually needed. It wasn't really clear how much he actually needed it and how much it was just, a hospital thing. But they did take it all the way up the side of the mountain. So I don't think he can walk at the moment.
I thought the weirdest part about the wheelchair is when everything was happening, the mom is the one who fell and twisted her ankle, and then the dad took his tie off and wraps her ankle, and she's like, how do you know how to wrap an ankle? And he's like, you gotta know first aid when you're out here. And then I never saw him hurt his foot or whatever. I did see his shoes catch on fire, but he doesn't hurt himself, and then he's the one in the wheelchair, and I was like, okay, well, whatever.
Maybe his feet got scorched. That's true. When they were,
yeah, maybe so.
There was a part when they're all running around in the forest, and the parents and the kids are separated, and Descadora has burned shit up, and the dad's hanging off the side of something, and his shoes catch on fire. So maybe his, but I think he still walks around after that. But yeah, that's all. I don't see his legs get hurt. Maybe his feet are just too burned up to walk on. But yeah, I don't know how they got, and it's not clear how close the hospital is to where they are, but they got there anyway. And Mom and Dad are looking at all the destruction and talking about how long it took for all this to grow and how long it's going to take to grow back. And then Mothra just comes by and is like, don't worry about it, I'll fix it.
Glitter shit all over the forest, back to hell, because she's a motherfucking goddess.
But I had the same thought that, like, well, yeah, they're never gonna be able to push that chair through all that grass. It's not happening.
Yeah, and then the kids are like frolicking like through the grass, like, yay, bye Mothra, we had so much fun on our ride. And then like Taiku like boops the little fairy, and maybe I was crying, I don't know, but it's like, we all did it. And then like, you know, the Elias are like talking to the family like, we all did it, it was like all teamwork, especially you, Taiki. And I was like, wait.
Yeah, I thought that was a little weird.
I did too, like, wait, what? But I mean, yes, I agree, like, that he did, like, he really, you know, stepped up to the plate and was like the hero, like he really did. But I just thought it was weird that they said that in, you know, I don't know,
in front of the sister.
yeah, exactly. But anyway,
let's just be clear, you helped out a little more than she did.
Yeah,
just make sure everybody gets the exact amount of credit that they deserve. You need to step up your game, Wakabi, whatever her name is.
Oh my gosh, yeah. And then the dad like looks at him and he's just like so proud of his little son. And then Taiki runs out and he's like, "Arigato, Mothra." And and that was me crying again. So I have my cry count at 9. This movie made me cry 9 times. Because I am just so obsessed.
Need I ask, what rating are you going to give Rebirth of Mothra?
Man, I mean, it's obviously 5 for me because I can't rate it any higher. It's just so good. I was, at the beginning, I was like really excited and I was like, this is going to be 5. I already know it's going to be 5. But then when like the kid kind of fight, like the fight in the house was happening and it kind of seemed like, oh, this is kind of like a kid's movie in a very early Gamera's kind of way. I was like, okay, like I'm still gonna enjoy it, but it's not gonna be as good as, you know, the other Mothras that we've seen. But then that quickly changed for me. The acting is so good. Oh, there were 2 parts in the movie too that I thought were a really, really great touch that have absolutely nothing to do with the plot. And one of those is when Mothra is like glitter shitting all over the forest to like bring it back to life. The time lapse, we get this really cool time lapse of like the flowers opening, and I thought that was really nice. And then there's also a point when Mothra is in the cocoon and is like coming out, we see like forest animals, like there's a deer that's like, whoa, what the fuck. And then there's like a monkey, 2 monkeys of some sort who are like looking on, and one of the monkey's jaw just drops, like he's like, gasp, like this like it's just so funny. And it was just such a nice touch. Those were like 2 little notes that I had that I just we kind of skimmed over. But yeah, man, it was so good. The acting is so good. I feel like in a lot of times, like in kids movies, Power Rangers is a good example because this movie had similar things, right? It's like, it's so overacted, and it should be in certain parts, like in certain ways, you know, because it's like for children or whatever. But like it can make things seem like unrealistic or kind of just a little bit too corny. And I think that in this movie, it wasn't overacted. It was like, I mean, maybe a little bit Belvera, a little bit, you know, in certain parts and stuff, because she's just kind of like this goofy villain character. But the parents, every time, like, the parents are, it just felt so real. Like, their emotions felt so real to me. The sisters acting felt so real to me. The kids, especially Taiki, no, I'm just kidding. No, but the kids were, like, the acting was just, it was so believable. Like, I felt like they really believed what they were doing and what they were seeing and thinking. And I just thought it was so good. It was so good, and it's the highest rating that it can go for me. So Ooh, baby.
I'm-
This era of
I'm
movies
gonna-
that we're in, all fives.
I'm gonna give it a 4. I did enjoy it,
No, I'm just
but
kidding.
not quite as much. I'm just not quite as fixated on Mothra as you are, but I did enjoy it.
Yeah.
It was a lot of fun.
I love Mothra so much that like even in my like I like have therapy and we have this like thing that we're doing and we have to like have this toolbox, right? And in our toolbox we have these like good things. Like what are good things in your toolbox that you can use? Like it could be like a person or it could be a thing or it could be anything. And like Mothra is one of my things in my toolbox in therapy. That's how much I love Mothra and I'm so obsessed. Like I am not kidding you. It is such a big deal to me and it is like so Mothra is like for the babes, you know, that's all. For the mentally unstable babes, Mothra is it. I don't know. I just love her so much and she just I don't know, she really means so much to me in this really strange way that I can't even connect with it. And it's just so good. I just can't get enough of it and I love it.
Are you converting to Mothraism? Are you gonna become a Mothraite?
Yes. I'm gonna yes.
Okay.
Yeah, do you have
Excuse
a moment
me.
to talk about our Lord and
Do you-
Savior, Mothra?
Exactly. You got there before I could. All right, folks. Well, that's gonna wrap it up for this week.
Watch it.
Next week,
Watch it.
we will
Let
be.
us know what you think.
Please send us a message. Go to mmftg.com and send us a message. Or you can record a voicemail. You can send us an email. You can follow us on all the socials from that website. You can also support us on Patreon if you enjoy this show and you want to hear some of our patron exclusive episodes. I was editing our Forbidden Planet one earlier today. That'll be going up soon. Next week, we will be looking at Zarkor! The Invader from 1996. You can watch that on...
Zarkor, hear me roar.
You can see that on Freevee, and I think it's also on Pluto and Tubi. It's on several
It's
of
also
the
on Prime.
free... There you
I
go.
watched it on Prime.
I did too, but it was Freevee on Prime, which I don't know how that. I don't know what. I looked it up once. I don't know. Freevee was something else, and now it's called Freevee, and it's on Prime, but it's also its own separate app if you want it for whatever reason.
Oh.
So yeah, you can watch it several places for free, and you should, because you should absolutely not pay money to watch Zarkor the Invader. So,
But
until
we'll
then,
get to
I have
that.
been
We'll get to that.
Precious. Until then, I have been Precious D.
And I've been Honeybee.
Remember to keep calm and take shelter in basements.
And please don't misuse science.
We won't see you, but you will hear us next time on Monster Movie Fun Time Go.
Mothra screech. Screechy, screech, screech.
You've been listening to Monster Movie Fun Time Go. If you enjoyed the show, please rate and review us on your podcasting platform of choice. Our theme song is by the Texicano folk rock punk featuring Lita Lopez. You can support the show, find links to our social media, and even leave us a voice message at anchor.fm/mmftg.